Hello and welcome to the Magic Mirror Podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Khan the Trinket Mage, and with me is my co-host, 33 Elk.
Hello.
Additionally, we have our other co-host here, Salubrious Snail.
Hello, hello.
And today we're going to be talking about the update to the Commander brackets and game changers and everything that was kind of talked about by Gavin in that recent Wizards stream. And then if we got some time after that, depending on how much we argue, we'll get to some of your questions as well. But before we do all of that, I would love to tell you about our sponsors. This podcast is also sponsored by Laughing Dragon, and we want to tell you about LDXP Tacoma, which is from October 31st to November 2nd. This is Laughing Dragon's Command Fest. It's going to be huge this year. 3 days of Magic the Gathering, Riftbound, Flesh and Blood, Disney Lorcana, Warhammer 40k, and more. Yousuf, throw all those on screen. That's a lot of different games. It's going to be super exciting, lots of fun. Halloween weekend as well. If you want to see Alex, who will be at the event, wearing his spooky Halloween costume,
I will. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Click the link below to check it out. Thanks to Laughing Dragon for sponsoring the podcast. Additionally, this podcast is sponsored by Card Castle, the easy way to sort your collection digitally. If you want to start scanning and sorting your cards today, click our link below. And if you want to scan your cards even faster, you can use their card sorting robots. To check if your game store has one, click the link for that below as well. So, Commander brackets, they got an update. So there's a new infographic. Yousuf will put it on screen for everybody watching right now. And it's quite different.
It's a lot better.
I agree.
So Rachel is mainly the hive mind behind this. So make sure everyone says thank you, Rachel Weeks, because Rachel Weeks was really the one who spearheaded this Commander brackets infographic and also did the more in-depth one the first time around. Yeah, no, I'm a lot more. This gives a lot more information, bare minimum. Like that's like definitely the like flatline, like all opinions about brackets and whatever voided. This tells you a lot more about the brackets on like face value than it did before.
Yeah, I think it's easy to read this, look at your deck and go, oh, I am bracket 3. And you can kind of figure that out much more easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the added kind of descriptiveness here. I also find that the greater specification on turn timings interesting. Less so on wins and more so on loses, like the idea that you should not be eliminating a player before turn 8 in bracket 2 or before turn 6 in bracket 3 or before turn 4 in bracket 4. That's kind of interesting. That feels about right, but I wasn't necessarily expecting it.
Yeah, they also went deeper in on combos, saying game enders, lockouts are infinite. So like Craterhoof Behemoth on turn 6 is categorized as a combo, right? Like you can't end the game before turn 6 and bracket 3. Rather, not you can't do it, but it's a lot more like your deck shouldn't be consistently doing that. That's the hinging thing is it shouldn't be a consistent thing that happens most or even like a very large percentage of games.
Yeah. Any deck that has a Soul Ring can stumble into a win a couple turns faster just by the nature of, fast mana. So like, obviously there's, other competing factors here, but yeah. Like if you're goldfish, you shouldn't be like turn 6 kill, turn 6 kill, turn 6 kill.
I do want to highlight I'm a perfect golden god with flawless opinions. They have removed tutor restrictions from every single bracket.
I know, it's so awesome. Oh, but Travis hopped in my chat because I was live streaming this stream. And he hopped in my chat and was just like, I'm fuming. They took tutors off.
Sorry, Travis.
See, I don't really feel either way about it because as long as they didn't put tutor restrictions on bracket 3, I don't care that much. But I'm sure there are some bracket 2 gamers who really want their tutors. So sure.
I want to be able to tutor for my baubles.
Bubbles.
Yeah, I'm really glad because ultimately a tutor is only as powerful as the card you tutor up. So if I have no card in my deck that is so powerful that if it showed up regularly at bracket 2, it would be a problem because it's a bracket 2 deck, then obviously tutoring for any of my cards won't be a problem. Did I word that right? Did that make any sense?
I think so.
My brain just went blank.
Yeah, no, me too.
You asking that question wiped my memory drive.
Okay.
Coffee's still kicking in a little.
I like that. I like that. Precons have been completely removed from this infographic. We're no longer talking about precons or precon power level because it doesn't like precons have changed so much. They vary in power level a lot. Like the secret layer ones are way stronger usually than the like regular ones. So I'm glad precons are just taken off of this list.
See, I generally like precons as a basic reference point, although I think I understand why they would want to take them off because it does kind of tie their hands a little when it becomes too much of a reference point. Like if there was some precon with, a combo or a game changer or X, Y, and Z, like it becomes kind of awkward for them to navigate that if they're trying to tie bracket 2 to precon. So I like it as a reference point, but I definitely get why they stepped away a little bit.
Yeah, precons are just so varied. They're not created equal. So it's kind of more confusing anything to have them as an anchor point when, you have the Final Fantasy precon with like a turn 3 infinite with walking ballista that is like not impossible to assemble versus something like, like I'm trying to think of like a really bad precon, like old Kalia precon. Like,
yeah,
man, we love just shitting on that precon.
It's so bad. I love it.
I mean, there are precons that are, I guess, below what I would consider like the standard for bracket 2. I don't know that there are precons I would fully put in bracket 3, right? Like, are there?
No, I don't think there's any I think the strongest precon, at least of the ones that I've gone up against and thought about, is the Esper Knights precon, the one with the Eminence Commander. Part of that being that the Eminence Commander is just really good. Like the constant looting is like makes your deck very consistent. You're always hitting your land drops. You're always finding pieces.
Yeah.
I think that precon is probably the closest to bracket 3, but I don't even know if I would put it there.
So that kind of makes sense because like I feel like precons a lot of times have some strong cards in them, but also some not strong cards in them. So if you have a constant source of filtering, that kind of makes sense as a thing that would boost you a little. But I haven't played against that precon, so I can't speak to it beyond that speculation. Also, Eminence is a pretty cool mechanic.
Yeah, somebody made a really interesting video about it,
Yeah.
which maybe we'll talk about on a future episode.
And hey, we were talking about tutors. I also did a video about tutors.
Yeah, and if these two goons remind me, I'll put links to those videos in the description. Or it'll happen because I'll forget, and then I'll listen to the episode, and then I'll remember because I'll hear myself saying this.
There you
and
go.
Then I'll go add it on.
Beautiful.
Which is likely to happen.
So don't listen to this episode too soon after it was posted, or else the links might not be there. Pro tip.
I'm glad that if somebody listens to it at this point, they can go back in time and fix that.
A little bit more talk about the bracket system beyond the initial just kind of change to the wording and making it more in depth. And then also, of course, the couple rollbacks.
Yeah.
There were game changer philosophy announcements.
Before we move to the game changers, I want to bring out one more thing, which I think is kind of interesting. I actually, while we were talking, had a patron ping me and they asked about, so because the wording here is to play at least, for bracket 3, to play at least 6 turns before anyone wins or loses, to play at least 8 turns before anyone wins or loses. How does that impact aggro/Voltron decks?
Major negative way. Yeah, for sure.
I'm wondering in let's say bracket 3, is a Voltron deck taking out one player by turn 6 unreasonable?
But I think by 5 is like pretty decent for Voltron start.
So for my Voltron deck, typically turn 6 is the turn where I take out the first player if the game's going well. Sometimes 5, but I think that graphic is encapsulative of sometimes 5, usually 6, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not like an under any circumstances. I take out a player on turn 5 in 8 or 10% of games. I think that is fine by that graphic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have games with Safara, or rather I should say I've had games with Safara where I've killed a player by turn 5. Now, these are the games where I draw Ornithopter to cheat her out quicker, and I also draw Lightning Greaves so she has haste, and I also draw Flaming Fist so she has double strike even through the Lightning Greaves, right? So like I have drawn perfectly and I've killed a player by turn 5. So my Safara Voltron deck, though, is not inherently like a lot of other Voltron lists, though. So I am curious to hear audience opinion about when their Voltron deck typically kills and what bracket they think it is.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that as well. I also want to say, obviously these are not like hard and fast rules. That's something that is part of the bracket system. They're not hard and fast rules. So like, if I play Necropotence on turn 3 and pay down to 1 life and then I get attacked, I can't be like, excuse me, this is bracket 3. I'm not allowed to die till turn 6. Like that doesn't count,
Yeah.
Like these aren't like laws.
You can also think of like Magic the Gathering gameplays as like a distribution. Like you're gonna have long tails on either end. You're gonna have the games where you win on turn 5. You're gonna have the games where your deck does nothing before turn 9. That's gonna happen. So I think this is
I think brackets should mostly be applied during deck building, right?
Yes.
Like my game plan brings me to a win on average on turn 6, therefore it's bracket 3.
Yeah.
Right. So instead of looking at it like during the game, I can't win until
I don't know if I would say on average. I would say maybe one standard deviation faster than my average.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, I'm not saying like 51% of the time I win on turn 6 and 49% of the time I win on turn 5. No, it should be like 5% of the time you're winning on turn 5.
Yeah.
That like 1 in 20 games, you get really lucky and you win on turn 5. I think that's the perfect percentage.
Yeah, exactly, for sure.
So are we good to talk about game changers now?
Yes, we can move to game changers. I just wanted to see if the article was up.
Well, regardless, I have an exact quote from Gavin Verhey on stream. We went a little overboard about game changers. They felt like they had way too many, and generally I agree. I think the list is a little long and could use some shortening. And in fact, they shortened it a bit today. So we can talk about what they've removed from the game changers list today. So typically they being Gavin and the rest of the rules committee, 2 cards they want to roll back on the game changers list mostly, and that is expensive high mana value game changers and commanders on the game changers list. If they're good in the 99, but they're not like annoying, we can take them off the list. Because when a commander is in the command zone, you kind of know what's up. When someone pulls out Urza across the table, you're kind of understanding that this is a really strong card, regardless if it's on the list or not. Versus in the 99, Urza is probably a bit more forgivable. Like, oh, he's in my blue equipment deck, right? Like I tap my equipment for mana. It's like,
I actually think I'm going to disagree with you on Urza specifically, but let's continue.
Yeah. So this is the philosophy they had anyway.
Yeah.
So first things first, in the vein of the high expensive mana value game changers, they've removed Sway of the Stars, Expropriate, Vorinclex, and Jin Gitaxias. These are the 4 removals.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'm surprised that Vorinclex got taken off the game changers list, but I'm not upset about any of these being removed.
I think out of all of these, I would consider Vorinclex and Sway of the Stars the least surprising.
Oh, really?
Expropriate was the one that I think most surprises me, just because it can lead to a lot of extra turns if your opponents are irresponsible.
At bracket 2 or lower, Expropriate always leads to 3 extra turns, and then at higher level Magic, that's always no. I really don't like Expropriate as a card, but it makes sense that it's coming off the game changers list. I hate this card though. God, I just do not like the design for Commander. Jin gets a little weird because we're kind of assuming it's a 10 drop when in reality it's a 2 drop with Animate Dead.
I know. You can just reanimate it.
I imagine this conversation was had. The Commander format panel is not filled with ruling morons, right? They know reanimation exists.
Yeah.
So I imagine it was just like, okay, let's try it out. Let's get opinions afterward. I think it'll be fine because reanimate's a little bad. So I think I'm fine with that. I think they've done the prerequisite testing, at least hopefully, that Jin gets okay. By the way, the Vorinclex mention about it being surprising. I don't think it's that surprising that Vorinclex is coming off, honestly. Like, unless you cheated in with a broken card that should be banned, Kona Rescue Beastie, then
I definitely agree. I figured it was on there just because it's a type of mana denial that is more common in battlecruiser decks. Like, it's just a thing that's going to come up more. But like the effect is, I haven't found it to be that bad when I've played against it, because if you remove it immediately, that's basically Ward 2, or Ward 1, or Ward 3, or whatever. You can also hold up instant speed plays, wait for somebody else to remove it. It's just a very kind of workaroundable sort of mana. You can just make your big play and accept that you're going to have lands not untap, and that big play might win you the game or might put you in a really good position. So like, it's just not that.
I really like Vorinclex as a card.
Yeah, I like the design. I don't think it's all that bad. I think the reason why it's on there is just because it like gives battlecruiser vibes, and if you have battlecruiser vibes with a Vorinclex in them, it's a little bit of pub stomper thing.
Pro tip against Vorinclex: if you have instant speed reaction, but it's not a counter spell, just float the mana, like tap your lands and float the mana.
Yeah,
true.
Let it resolve and then kill it, and then you don't have to. You're not punished for it. I don't know what you guys are smoking. I think Vorinclex is great. It's not that it is just mana denial like that. If it was just
It's a
that,
mana doubler.
it's a mana doubler on the.
I love the card. I love it so much.
There's been so many games where I just go like, all right, natural order, put my Vorinclex in play, and then like if I untap, the game's like over. And obviously this is for that's for my bracket 4 list or whatever. I don't know. I feel like Vorinclex is a really powerful card, and it's easy to like you're in mono, you're in green. It's not that hard to get an 8-drop into play.
Oh yeah, for sure. Not once did I besmirch the power of Vorinclex. I am just saying that it's like, is it game changerable? I personally don't think so. I think the card's actually a lot of fun. But there's just people who have different opinions, of course. That's just my opinion.
I think both of our point was that, the final line of text on it is a form of mana denial, but not that bad. Certainly the full package is good and does make it good to slam into your big rampy deck. But I mean, the kind of the thing, the part of the card in contention here, I think is the last part. And that part I think is a lot more workaroundable than other mana denial. So
to be clear, I think it's fine to take off the game changers list. I just don't think I'm putting it in my bracket 2 list anytime soon.
Oh yeah. That's fair.
I think it can live somewhat at bracket 2.
Which makes me feel like, is it okay? I don't know.
I think it can live at bracket 2, but it's about intention, right? You can't be like, well, natural order's on the game changers list. It's a bit hard to do that. Sure, you'd have to be like a green rampy deck, which isn't hard to do, but like, hopefully you're still running removal at bracket 2, is my opinion.
Yes, you should be playing removal at bracket 2. Like, it's a very beatable card. I don't know. It's interesting.
According to the graphic, bracket 2 is very proactive. I need to exhibit, or I need to what is the word? I need to showcase my Vorinclex, excuse me.
In my opinion, at bracket 2, how this plays out is you jam Vorinclex into play on turn 5, and then the Jasath player across the table with their Mirari's Wake that came down a turn earlier goes, aha, you're dead. Like, just starts killing you with dinosaurs, like, repeatedly. Like, I don't know, you just get kicked to death. Moving on, yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on to the second type of card they want to roll back, we have legendary creatures on the Game Changers list. So if it's annoying in the 99, it stays on the list. So this is something like Turgid they mentioned as an example. But if it's only annoying in the command zone, it's off. So the 4 that they took off with this rule in mind is Winota, Kinnan, Yuriko, and Urza.
Yuriko makes sense because like the commander ninjutsu is like the reason the card is powerful.
Yeah.
So like if it's in the 99 of your bracket 2 ninjas deck, like obviously it's not even remotely close to as like useful as it is, right?
Yeah, it's still a very good card, but it's not like game changers level of annoying like it is in the command zone.
Yeah, and like Winota, I get it. If it's in the 99, it's less consistent. Kinnan, same thing. When you build around Kinnan and you fill your deck with mana dorks so that you can play Kinnan on turn 2 with a mana dork and
Seedborn Muse and
double that mana immediately. Yeah, right. Like I get it. Building around those. I think Urza is crazy though. In the 99, I think Urza is a ridiculous card.
Urza's a great card.
Urza's incredibly strong. I don't want anyone to come away thinking I'm saying anything less. I think Urza is totally fine to come off the Game Changers list though.
Dude, I don't know. I feel like when I play Urza in the 99 of an artifact deck, doesn't matter what the deck is doing or whatever, the power level of the deck when Urza's not in play versus in play is leagues apart. Like I'm not putting Urza in my bracket 2 artifact deck, even if it's after the Game Changers list, because the amount of times where like the game just kind of goes along, you have a bunch of artifacts in play, and then this comes down and effectively gives you plus 15 mana and wins you the game is just too high. It's like, unlike Winota or like Kinnan or something, just having artifacts in play is such a nothing restriction that like, I don't know. I feel like Urza is just kind of too ridiculous. I think this one should have stayed Game Changer.
I feel like for me, when you have a board that's like super artifacts heavy with something like SRAM, right? Or not SRAM, that's the card draw one. I'm thinking of Psy Master Thopterus, or, one of these other things that just like makes an artifact whenever you make an artifact, right? These sorts of cards. Urza exploding on those boards, I think is more fine than not fine. Like, even if it's like, I think Urza doesn't explode the game until you expect him to. Because like, yeah, you look across the board and they have 15 Thopters. That's already super stupid scary without Urza in play.
But it's like,
so just Urza being an intensifier is fine.
I mean, I feel like part of why it's super stupid scary is because Urza could drop down.
Exactly. 15 Thopters isn't scary. 15 Clues isn't scary. But then 15 Clues with Urza, that represents 15 mana, so much card draw, he also is card draw on himself. That lets you cheat the cost of things like infinite mana combos and so on and so forth. It's like so crazy.
See, I hear all these things and I'm like, you can just do this in artifacts without Urza. Like, it's just like this already happens. It's like, this is an artifact deck. Yeah, that happens.
No,
It's
there's nothing that produces the blue mana that Urza produces. That's like completely different.
I don't know.
Like, yeah, you could play like KCI, but you have to sack your stuff, and that's not the same.
I think I'm just of a different opinion. I want to see how it plays out. Maybe he gets added back. I think this is a very valuable thing to remove from the Game Changers list and see how it goes, and then look at it later.
I think this is going to go right back on the Game Changers list. People are going to be so unhappy.
Okay. So we have 2 bonus removals from the Game Changers list.
Yeah.
We have Deflecting Swat and Food Chain. The reasons for these is Swat is, and I quote, not as strong as Fierce Guardianship, and Food Chain combos, but it's already covered by bracket rules because, you can't have 2-card combos before turn 6 on bracket 3, right? So Prosh Food Chain, as an example, would not be a bracket 3 kind of deck, according to Gavin. Generally, I find Deflecting Swat extremely annoying. That makes me very sad that it's off, but it for the cause of shortening the Game Changers lists, I'm like kind of okay with it overall. And Food Chain, I definitely agree with.
Yeah.
I still wish Ad Nauseam came off the list.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, I think SWAT should probably be on the Game Changers list, but like there are definitely cards that'd be a lot madder if they leave.
I generally agree, but I would, yeah, I'm of the same belief as you here, Snail. I definitely think SWAT is game changerable just because it's, God, I find it so annoying.
It's very, very good.
Yeah. So there was a few cards that they mentioned were on the line, that being Consecrated Sphinx, which was basically, as Gavin said, a split vote, whether or not it should come off. Coalition Victory, which was given the reason of not enough testing, and Panoptic Mirror, which I find a bit strange. He mentions that combos kind of already cover it, but it is fresh off the ban list, so they want to give it more time. He did mention that there is a very good chance that all 3 of these are coming off the list, but they want more time with them. I think Panoptic Mirror could have come off today.
Yeah, with the combo rule, like Panoptic Mirror is, I mean, if Food Chain isn't game changeable, like believe me, Panoptic Mirror is not game changeable either. Like,
yeah, and we had Sway of the Stars come off as well. I mean, Gavin was probably just hearing different feedback than we are, just like looking at the card, right?
I don't need to hear any feedback. I can look at the 2 cards.
Because a lot of this is opinion fueled.
Yeah. I think both that and Coalition Victory are kind of covered by the increased specificity of the like win timings or like the kind of game speed specifications. So I think both we find to come off. Coalition Victory I get a little bit more just because it's the fact that it's a sorcery and just wins on the spot, I feel like makes it less interactable than some things, but I think it's still probably fine. Consecrated Sphinx, I'm a little bit divided on. I was pretty firmly in the camp that it should be on the list, but seeing what they've been taking off, which I've been mostly agreeing with. I don't know. How much mana is 6 mana? That's a good question.
Your opinion is changing. So you're inconsistent and you shouldn't be trusted.
Yeah, don't trust me.
I mean, honestly, don't trust us. This is all just opinions, but
all I'm saying is if Urza, which costs like negative 15 mana, is like coming off the Game Changers list, like 6 mana is like 100 mana at that point. Like, who cares?
Whatever. Just Vandal Blast these artifact players. Put them into the dirt. Run a Bane of Progress, green players. Come on.
I need somebody to just play Urza against you. And then you were like, wait, they went from nothing to the game's over.
Dude, I cannot wait to copy their board with Clone Legion. That's going to make me so happy.
You're going to lose. There's no Clone Legion. You're not going to live to your next upkeep.
See, I didn't offer opinions on Urza because I don't play the card that much. Like, it gives me game changer vibes, but I don't play against it that much, and I don't have any decks with it. So
I don't play artifact decks as much as Khan does, but I do play artifact decks, and I'm just like,
everything that Urza does, artifact decks are already doing.
Regardless, we've said our piece about Urza.
Yeah.
So this is the Gavin opinion section. If you guys have opinions for Gavin at home, just type Gavin in your chat, in your message.
In the comment.
Yeah, just do Gavin first. Just write the word Gavin, and then you can put a colon. And then just give your opinion about any one of these future topics, because Gavin himself is asking for your opinion about these topics in particular. There's about 4. There's a couple more sprinkled on top for fun, but there are 4 major Gavin opinion questions here happening. So first and foremost, Rhystic Study is a very powerful magic card that can warp games. That's a quote from Gavin. but it's iconic like Soul Ring. No ban at this time because it's iconic and beloved. Let's hear your thoughts. That's what Gavin said on stream. And Trinket's already laughing.
So we talked about this once before, and we gave a very strong opinion in favor. I don't know if it was a very strong opinion. I am very in favor of it being banned.
Yeah, there's not a lot of nuance here on the podcast when it comes to Ristic Study opinions. We all definitely agree it should be banned. But to bring up a little bit of conversation about Gavin's points about it being iconic like Soul Ring is that Ristic Study is a chase mythic, not a every precon card. It's only in blue, unlike Soul Ring, which can go in any deck if you want to run it. So even though Soul Ring is a stupid broken Magic card, at least every color gets it. At least every player has 3 copies in their binder. That's my opinions anyway.
Yeah. It's somebody in your chat, Khan, said it's iconic because it always shows up on what is it, game nights?
Oh yeah.
I find that funny as an idea of what an indicator is.
It's iconic in the same way that Pearl Harbor is iconic in American history.
Yeah. Something I did before the podcast was I went to the EDH Rec Salt Scores list, and I looked at what cards are above and below Ristic Study, and it grows number 4 on the list, Turgrid, God of Fright, number 5 on the list, Ristic Study, number 6, the Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale, the big thing that gives all your creatures an upkeep cost of 1. It's like, these are kind of iconic, but not in the way that Soul Ring is.
Ristic Study has a higher salt score than Armageddon and Static Orb.
Yes.
Static Orb. You can only untap 2 permanents cards.
And Grand Arbiter Augustin the 4th.
And Thassa's Oracle, Smothering Tithe, Humility. Like, people do not like Ristic Study.
Dranith Magistrate is way, way lower than Ristic Study.
Yeah, the salt score is definitely a very good indicator of how people feel about Ristic Study, just like at a first glance. Of course, the salt scores, as we've been over before, are definitely not infallible, but it is definitely a good litmus.
It's a litmus test. So Soul Ring has a salt score of 1.46, which puts it next to Pact of Negation and below Invasion Plans, which I don't know why that's even a salty card. And compared to the 2.73 from Ristic Study, it is so different. And Soul Ring is iconic, and Command Tower, I would say, is iconic because they're functionally free. Like, everybody has one. It's been reprinted 100 times. If you want one, unless you're on some uber mega ultra budget deck, you can spend the $1 for a Soul Ring. Ristic Study is just so uncomparable to that. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely, like we said, we've had Rachel Weeks on the podcast before, and Rachel, being a infinitely more eloquent person than any of us combined, said it is far closer to the line of being banned. Like, it's far closer to being over that line than not. And I was like, if Rachel Weeks low key thinks Ristic shouldn't be in Commander, I think I'm in agreement because she's smarter than I am. All right, so let's move on to Gavin opinion number 2. Thoracle, as we've mentioned before, is a 2-card combo with Tainted Pact and Demonic Consultation, Premier CEDH. But when Flash was banned, it was for CEDH previously. So from what Wizards of the Coast, CEDH kind of has a split opinion on Thoracle, whereas Flash was a bit more over the line. And I'm curious to hear, especially Trinket's opinion, since you do play CEDH more regularly than me and Snail.
Yeah, in terms of CEDH, people are definitely a little bit more split. I don't think there's that many CEDH players really calling for Thassa's Oracle to get banned. To be honest, it's not something that I hear a whole ton of. Obviously, there are people that fall on all sides of the argument. I can't speak for everybody. And I personally think the card is very lame. It's kind of homogenizing in win conditions and the way it works. It's uninteractability is very lame from a game design perspective. Especially when you're talking about competitive play. If you're trying to do the strongest thing, you're going to go with the least interactable one, which is just annoying for game design. I don't think CDH players are calling for it to be banned or anything though, so I wouldn't say that. Do I think the CDH meta would be healthier with it gone? Yes. So for that reason, I would say I would like it to be banned.
I think it's really funny that Mikaro Center of the Sea is a CDH playable card.
It's mostly people play Cephalid Coliseum over that one.
Oh, that makes more sense. Yeah, because it draws 3.
It draws 3 and it taps for blue mana.
Yeah. It's still like a really funny meta development in response to Thoracle. Oh god, it warms my cold little heart that Nimble Obstructionist sees EDH play because of Thoracle. That's so funny to me.
Nimble Obstructionist has mostly been superseded by other options, sadly.
Yeah, I imagine Spider Sense is really good.
Endurance sees play now because it's a 0 mana card. You can flash in, and then you just make their deck big enough that the Thoracle trigger resolves and doesn't win them the game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's funny.
Like there are clever ways around it, such that you don't need a counterspell to beat it, like Endurance or like Torpor Orb, I guess. But like those are few and far between, and it's just getting rid of your entire library is easy.
Yeah.
And Lab Man is interactable. This isn't, you know.
And sequencing is incredibly in Thoracle's favor because you just cast the Thoracle first in response to the trigger, you Demonic Consult. Right.
Yes.
So if you counterspell the Thoracle, they still have Demonic Consultation. And if you counterspell the Demonic Consultation, they still have the Thoracle, right? And you can still like try again someday in future, especially if you have like a Teamer Sabertooth or what have you, right?
Yeah.
I think Teamer Sabertooth
also,
doesn't see as much play after Dockside ban, but still.
Another problem with Thassa's Oracle is because it's kind of only beatable with counter magic for the most part, what happens a lot is you can wait for somebody to go for the win, and then after the counterspell gets baited out, you then Born Upon a Wind, flash in your own Oracle, and then just do the combo on top of it.
Yeah.
And because if they've used their counterspell in hand, that's kind of their only out to it. You know that they don't have any other outs, pretty much. It can be like really, really difficult to interact with. But that's like a Born Upon a Wind problem, which is another card that I think is kind of annoying. But yeah, see, that's my CEDH opinion. Out of the way. Wait, Alex, did you want to say anything about Thassa's Oracle before we move on for casual play?
Yeah, I mean, I think it feels like a CEDH player conversation. I don't experience it pretty much ever. I've maybe played against it once or twice. It seems quite good as a kind of uninteractable win con, so I think it would be fair enough to ban it if people don't like how it's going in CEDH.
I mean, it not showing up in casual play is honestly just more reason to ban it. Like if nobody in casual is playing it, then like why keep it around?
It would be a pretty clean ban, yeah, for if the CEDH players want it.
So moving on to Gavin opinion number 3, hybrid mana. So Gavin was talking about how Wizards of the Coast, typically hybrid mana is designed as an or, as in it's for both colors. Commander is the only place where this or is treated as an and. So some examples that Gavin gave is Beseech the Queen. It's 2 colorless or 1 black 3 times as the cost. Beseech the Queen is just a tutor for equal or number to lands you control, or equal to or less lands you control. And he mentioned this could be a colorless card. Deathrite is still locked, for instance, because it has the actual green and actual black in its mana cost, but it has the hybrid symbol. Doesn't matter. The black and green in the actual text of the card makes it locked. And then Risk,
which makes sense with current color identity rules, because if I have a blue commander with a red ability, it's an is it card.
Yeah. And Risk the Redeemed is white or green, because all of the symbols on that card are hybrid, except for the generic ones, which don't matter anyway. So also the rules committee did talk about Phyrexian mana, but it was decided against, which breaks my heart because I would love to run Dismember in every deck. But moving on.
I think the existence of Git Probe makes that more problematic.
Git Probe, I think Mental Misstep is worse for sure.
Oh man, I've been cutting that for my CDH decks and I've never looked back. I hate that card. It's so ass. CDH players, trust me, it's bad.
Git Probe and Commander is definitely way less egregious than...
Yeah, it's all right. But.
Like, do you put Street Wraith in all your decks? Like, I don't know. It's like, yeah, looking at the hand's kind of valuable, but that's about it. Anyway, we're here to talk about hybrid mana and how we feel. We've kind of covered this on a previous podcast, so let's keep it a little bit brief. I love it. I love having hybrid cards be legal in any deck that can run them.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't like how restrictive color identity is, in part because it includes things like hybrid mana. So I think, pulling back this one kind of thing that clearly is designed as a thing that should be in either color makes a lot of sense and kind of fits the philosophy of color identity, even if it puts symbols outside your color on a card, theoretically.
I'm actually kind of against this one. I'm like, I don't think it would be the end of the world or anything if it happened, but I would lean to the side of, I don't think this should be added. I think it is a little bit on the confusing side, like cards like Deathrite Shaman there was a lot of confusion in the chat when they were talking about this, with people like, wait, so can I play Deathrise Shaman in mono green? No, you can't, because not all the symbols are hybrid. And then things like Beseech the Queen, I actually think is a great example of this. So Beseech the Queen is a tutor that searches up any card. So it's a generic tutor that searches up any card that, as long as the mana value is less than the number of lands you control. This means, let's just say hypothetically, I'm constructing a mono green, a mono white, some sort of like combo deck where I get infinite mana. Well, now I pretty much always would have Beseech the Queen, because if I'm easily assembling infinite mana, this is my just like instant tutor that gets me the finisher, kind of piece. It sort of homogenizes certain types of lists. Additionally, because Beseech the Queen can be 3 mana, if you spend black mana, maybe this isn't a bad thing, I guess, but it does like increase the power level of things like treasures or Felwar Stone.
I think Felwar Stone being more important is so cool. I think that's a case for it.
Think about Urborg.
More than anything. Oh, Urborg, running like Urborg in your mono white deck so you can Beseech the Queen. That's so cool. That's so cool. I don't know.
But then at that point, you're just kind of playing an Orzhov deck functionally, right? Because you're just playing a black card for its black costs in your mono white deck.
See, but that's
yeah,
funny.
but it's one card and it's so funny. Come on,
it's
that's
one card
hilarious.
Right now, but Gavin said that more hybrid cards are coming down the line, right?
Yeah, but like here's the thing for me is that it's also like we're talking about a 6 mana tutor if you do no work for it. And then when you get deck building work around it, you get a 3 mana tutor. Which to me just sounds perfectly fine.
This is like the best example right now, but like Beseech the Queen is probably not the power level that they're going to be aiming for with new cards.
I mean, I don't think they're going to be printing unconditional tutors with hybrid mana symbols in the future, probably, if they're designing around the commander format, right? Like, I don't.
Yeah, and let's face it, this is a common criticism. They design every card around commander.
I know. I know, which I think is a problem.
I agree, it is a problem, but also it means that this is like this is a nothing conversation. I feel like hybrid is super cool to have unlocked. It's just more toys. Who hates more toys? Like, come on.
I do. I like restrictions. I think that the color like identity restriction is an interesting thing that is unique to the commander format that I personally like.
But the commander is already like a 12-course heaping helping of restriction. Like, this is like one little tidbit of clearly the way the game was intended. When these cards were designed, it was intended that they should be able to be played outside their color. That was the intention of the design. I don't care what Jim
Bim at Wizards intended Deathrise Shaman to be played as. That doesn't mean anything to me.
I think it should. It's these. When you look at a card like Stump Stomp, it's because like, okay, Stump Stomp isn't a good example, but it's because there's a color on the back, and the fact that I'm able to instantly pick that out is like funny.
Yeah. So
Slitherhead
is funny. I love Slitherhead. No, but Ashiok Dream Render is a good one, and like also the instant version of his effect. Something of Doubt, Shadow of Doubt?
Shadow of Doubt, yes.
These cards are both black and blue, and it's because both black and blue independently could have this card. I feel like this is the main thing for me that really got me turned on to hybrid mana. And of course, you'd always be like, oh, but what about the Boros hybrid extra combat spell? Like, of course there's exceptions to this rule. The whataboutism is going to go crazy. The whataboutism is going to go crazy in the comments. But yes, these cards are generally designed because either color can get it.
Either color can get it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that is such a like horrific thing that Commander messes up. Like Gavin said it perfectly. Hybrid mana is an or, and Commander is the only format that treats it like an and I just don't like that at all. It feels really weird and just unintuitive. Whereas people say, oh, it's unintuitive that I get to run a blue-black card in my mono-blue deck. But like Ashiok here is meant to be either blue or black and can do both. This is by erasure.
That's
true.
Is it Ashiok Dream Render?
Dream Render, yeah. Ashiok Game Winner. Thank you very much. This card's stupid. It's so fun.
I love that the thing that gets you on board with hybrid mana symbols is stacks cards.
Oh, I love Ashiok Dream Render. I love this guy. Guy in parentheses, gender neutral. Anyway, the number 4 opinion that Gavin wants, because we do have one more opinion we have to hop through here. This is the last opportunity to give your insights to Gavin in the comments below. 6th bracket.
Oh, yeah. Another bracket.
Talking about adding a 6th bracket. So it's either between 2 and 3. So this kind of bracket would be play no game changers, but a higher power level than 2, or 2 with game changers, or between 3 and 4, where people want to play unlimited game changers, but they don't want it to be as fast. So basically just like bracket 4 unlimited game changers, but also no faster win clock with that. I don't really like adding a bracket, but if I had to pick, I'd pick between 3 and 4. Like if the bracket is a non-negotiable, this is happening, I want it between 3 and 4 because I feel like the gulf there is a lot larger than between 2 and 3.
I mean, I think 3 spans kind of a lot. That could be a reason to add a bracket, but I don't really think it is. I think you can also clarify, this is a pretty like firm 3. This is a pretty like crispy 3. This 3 is going for it. Or this is a 4, but it's not like the most intense 4 you've ever seen in your life. Like I think brackets are a rule 0 tool, and I think the tools are already in players' hands. You don't need to add an additional category to fit yourself into. You don't need to add an extra Harry Potter house to sort yourself into, which is I think how a lot of people want to think of it. People love categorization, but like it's a rule 0 tool.
Yeah, this is a rule 0 tool. I think Rachel said it best about brackets, where it's if you are playing with people that you do not know, then this is a great way to condense that conversation down from like minutes long to maybe about a minute long, where you're no longer shouting across a field. You guys are at least like closer to each other when starting that conversation, which I think is actually very valuable.
I'm going to categorize both of you in the wrong section. Because I actually do think that we should add a new bracket. And I think it's between 3 and 4. So between 2 and 3, I think is like kind of meaningless or whatever. If you're like, this is a precon, but I put the secret layer demonic tutor I got in it. I'm sure you can tell the table and be like, it's a precon, but I just added 1 demonic tutor because I think the art is cool. And like, nobody's going to like, I would be surprised if they were like, how dare you? You can't play at our bracket 2 pod.
No, they'd rip off all your limbs and eat you.
yeah, exactly. They just go feral. But 3 and 4, here's my problem with 4 is like, I think there is a meaningful difference between optimized stacks list and fringe CDH, which is kind of bracket 4, and fully powered up aristocrats deck with all the game changers and reasonably fast combos. I think both of those are currently bracket 4, but I think that there is a meaningful enough power divide that they could be 2 different brackets. Does that make sense?
I kind of agree with that because like Judith can get really fast combos with Blood Artist and Forsaken. Like, right, you can do like super fast combos with my Judith list. And that does feel more bracket 4 coded than 3. But I would still classify Judith as bracket 3 because I'm not beating
You're not beating an optimized Hikori Sax list. But Hikori Dustdrinker is not CDH by any means. So I don't know.
I mean, the question is, can they play at the same table? I think the answer is usually going to be yes. And then if you want kind of closer power than does this work at all, you could, say an extra sentence or 2 about your deck aside from bracket blank. You can talk to your opponent. It's allowed.
How dare you?
I think Snail does have a point there where so long as there's like your stone's throw away from another deck's power level, you're generally pretty fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, like bracket 2 and 3 decks could probably be in the same pod. I would say the difference between 3 and 4 is just greater, such that I think it would be reasonable to add a bracket.
Yeah, I definitely agree there is a gulf there, but I don't know if a whole bracket is necessary. I especially don't like having 6 brackets.
There's also like a downside to that, in that like I like bracket 4 in the sense that I built a stacks deck, and then now I can be like, here is my high power non CDH list, and if other people say that they're okay with that, I can like reasonably be like, hey, I don't have to like explain to them that I'm gonna blow up their lands. And then, make it really clear, because pre-bracket system, if I wanted to play my stacks deck, I had to be very clear about it because people seem to be confused about what I would be doing. But now I can tell you it's bracket 4, there's mass land destruction, they understand that, and it's like a place to play that. So if we split it up even more, it would be like less of a place to play that, which, is a downside.
All right. Before we move on to Beseech the Mirror, there's a couple bonus treats that you can give Gavin your opinions on here that we will just gloss over rather quickly. These were mentioned on stream, but they were not like major points by any stretch of the imagination. These were just kind of questions that got answered by Gavin. First things first, a conversation point that came up with this recent meeting of the Commander format panel. 4th player in turn order rules. So Gavin cited this as being, of course, very important for CDH. But there's nothing solid in stone that he wanted to really share as like a solid concept for this. But they are aware that the 4th player in turn order does have a demonstrably lower win rate than the 1st player in turn order. Like, it is significant. Secondly, sideboards in Commander. Gavin mostly cited logistical issues for this. What if someone hive minds a wish? Now, in order to have a optimized deck, you need to have a wish board in all of your decks, regardless of whether or not you actually have wishes in your deck anyway, right? So it's a little bit weird in that sense. Or if you like twin cast someone's wish, right? Like, oh, you definitely want a wish board for that.
Right. Yeah. Or if you're playing like Hive Mind or some other weird card, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And then also the Commander format panel voted almost unanimously, Gavin said, against Planeswalker Commanders. So let that sink in, commenters. Give your opinions for sure. Yeah, and that's all the notes I took anyway from this stream. And there'll be an article out that I'm sure Trinket Mage will remember to link.
Or I'll get to this part 100%. Of the podcast so they remember that I forgot to link it.
But are we good to move to?
Yeah, I guess I'll just like my final thoughts are I actually think overall the changes are good. I think that this is a improvement on the bracket system, and I am excited to continue to use it with these changes.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of all of the changes, all of like the firm changes here are, good. I think of the things that have been moved off the game changer list, like most I'm like fully in support of. A couple I'm could go either way. And I think also the conversations that it's clear are happening are interesting ones. I like the kind of things that opinions are being asked on. I think all of those are, even if not things that I necessarily feel strongly about personally, I think they're the things that other people clearly care about. And I think, I've heard other people talking about whether there should be another bracket, even if I personally don't think there should be. So that it's clearly a good conversation to be having.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you, Alex, here. I definitely feel like I have a couple mixed feelings, but generally speaking, I think this has been very good. And I've used the bracket system to like pretty great success. Like it's especially helpful for conventions where I just do not know anyone's deck and they can go, oh, it's about a 3. I'm like kind of doing this. And then we just go, it's very quick and very easy versus before it's like, oh, I'm a 7. And then the conversation kind of just stops.
What is the nature of numbers?
All right, we're moving on to the Beseech the Mirror section. We got time for like 1 or 2 questions here. If you want to beseech us for answers, all you have to do is put mirror, mirror in your comment and we'll get to it, maybe, probably, perchance on the podcast. You can also comment on Spotify or ping us on our socials, links in the description below. Benjamin Shafzin on Spotify asks, Mirror, mirror, I unsleeve my opponent's commander while they're distracted and eat it to beseech thee. When does optimizing a deck become unproductive tinkering? I have 2 solidly bracket 3 decks who play great, but I've begun splitting hairs on side grade cards and I'm worried it truly isn't necessary. When is it time to stop, and what counts as too much tinkering?
For me, there's never too much tinkering. I will sometimes even cut cards for worse cards that I know are worse but are funnier. I did this recently with Kellen. I cut Beast Whisperer from my like 37 creature list, and I put in a Johnny Sleeper Agent.
Awesome. The card's terrible.
And a Johnny Sleeper Agent sucks. It is hilarious though. And also it has synergy in my Kellen deck where if I swing with Kellen and I draw a 3-mana creature, I can then plus a Johnny and then maybe draw another creature. Like it is a Selesnya top deck manipulation deck. I use Eladamri and Augur of Autumn to manipulate the top card of my library as well. So if there's a card I don't want to cast off the top of my library, but I want it in my hand, I can plus a Johnny, or a Johnny can spin away a land that I don't want because he can put it on the bottom of your library instead with his plus. Also, he distributes counters. This works with Kudo King Amongst Bears, right? And then also the -6. I have vowed I'm not going to cut a Johnny Sleeper Agent from Kellen until I've killed someone with poison counters. That is my stipulation. So there's never enough tinkering. I cut cards all the time. I just cut Teferi's Protection from Kellen as well. And I've replaced it with the Spectacular Spider-Man card that has flash and you can pay 1 and sack it. And then because Kellen draws it, it's not better than Teferi's Protection, but given the context, it's a side grade because Kellen can draw it, but can't draw Teferi's Protection. So overall, there's never enough tinkering because here's the thing. When you cut a card from your deck and put in a side grade, you're not eating the card you took out of the deck. I still have Beast Whisperer in my considering deck box. I can put it back into Kellen whenever I want. Right. So, you're not permanently altering your deck. You're trying out something new. And I think that's a great way to keep your relationship very high with the deck is just constantly swapping cards in and out and experimenting with new things and stuff, because otherwise it's stagnant and that gets boring, at least for me. Some people like stagnant though. So Not universally applicable.
I think it definitely depends on the purpose of the tinkering. So like, and I find it funny you mentioned cutting beast for sure, because I just did the same thing with my Rada deck. I played it a bunch at Magic on Atlanta. I was like, wow, this is my favorite deck, and I'm starting to get tired of the stuff in it. I'm just going to replace like 15 cards in it and give it a spin with a bunch of fresh material. I think if that's what you're doing, that's great. Keep doing that. If you're just optimizing for the sake of like optimizing as a sort of abstract goal, I think that's a little bit less ideal. If you have a deck that feels good to you, I don't think it's a reason to touch it a whole lot. You know, I've been loving how my current Shroom Slide deck feels, and I don't really feel like looking for, changes to it. Could it be made kind of more streamlined? Could it be made more powerful? Could I put more fresh, funky stuff in it? Maybe, but I just haven't gotten tired of the play pattern, even playing it a bunch recently. So there's not really a reason for me to do that. So I think that's the thing you should kind of interrogate is why do you want to change your deck? And if you don't actually want to change your deck, don't change your deck.
I do agree with that. I mean, like, if you're having fun with a deck, there's no reason, like, you shouldn't feel pressured to buy new cards and add new things. If playing the deck just makes you happy, man, just stick with that, On the other hand, I think there's no reason to just stop tinkering with the deck if you just feel like it. I tinker with my decks all the time. I'll maybe swap one win con out for a different win con. I'll swap this card draw for this card draw or whatever. Or like, oh, this is a cool little, value engine that does damage or something. This is a new card. I'll try it out. It is a fun way it gives you like a mini goal within the deck. Like, oh, I got this new card. I want to try and get it to work. So then you play the deck and you kind of have this sub goal of playing the new card. And that can be a lot of fun. It works really well if your deck is within like a popular archetype, I suppose. And that can be like a fun or like reason to play a counters commander or something, because there's lots of +1/+1 counter cards that come out. And sometimes they're better, sometimes they're worse. So you have like a lot of options. I think it really just comes down to we didn't give any helpful answers. It comes down to like if you're having fun. There's not too much tinkering.
I think it's been helpful. Hopefully they've been helpful.
I don't. Was any of that helpful?
Let us know in the comments.
All right, let me do one more question here. Alicia the Witch on YouTube asks, "Mirror." They misspelled mirror. I confiscate a 1/1 snake and fling it at my opponents with gratuitous violence to ask, when does a strong synergy finisher cross the line to being a combo piece?
When it wins on the spot. That's literally it. Is a combo piece to me is a pretty broad term. Like, I think Craterhoof Whiteboard is a combo, like in how it plays.
It's functionally the same.
Yeah, it's literally like that's functionally the same. I think a combo as well is something like Mind Twist and Zevlor. Like, if you discard all of your opponent's hands and make them hellbent, that's kind of a combo. I would even consider Brazella Gaddock Teague in my Kellen deck to be a combo, where it's like I'm shutting off most meaningful forms of interacting with me, and I'm killing you over the next couple turns, and the game is kind of on lock at that point, especially if I have interaction in hand. So I think the major crossing point between synergy and combo is, does this win me the game on the spot, or does it put me in like a 95% favorable position to win? That's when we're kind of like, this is combo territory to me.
So I agree with everything Elk said, which is why I'm going to crank up the hipness on my answer. It really depends why you're asking the question, because I think there are combos that I wouldn't consider combos. What I mean by that is, if you're asking about combos for the purposes of power level or even for the purposes of vibes, there will be things that you could kind of consider a combo that aren't actually a combo. So I think you should really just decide what it is you're asking. Is it a thing kind of winning on the spot? Is it a thing winning on the spot with less than 10 mana? Is it a thing winning on the spot with less than 3 cards? You can kind of come up with your own definition. And at that point, Craterhoof will be inside or outside of that definition, a lot of times inside. But that's kind of something that I don't think is well determined with just the singular word combo.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I think it's. I guess I'll tack onto it with like interactive points. So for example, my Millennium Calendar, Clock of Omens, Tawanos combo, in theory, is a combo, right? It does 1,000 damage to every player. If I assemble this, it wins the game. But I need a full turn cycle to have passed to actually get the counters on the Millennium Calendar and enough artifacts to do this. Because of that, like, it is a combo, but it doesn't really like feel like one, because the game doesn't end when I play the Millennium Calendar. since I have to wait a whole turn cycle. So it feels more like a synergy piece that leads me to winning because it needs all these other things to go right. And I feel like that how many other pieces or how many other things need to go right for it to convert to a win is the more relevant piece here. Because you don't need that many things to go right for a Moonshaker Cavalry to end the game. Because you just have to have creatures on board.
And of course, if an opponent has 1,001 life, you just can't.
Yeah, of course.
Hi, it's 33 Elk reporting live from my bed. Everyone give Yousuf a happy birthday in the comments.